This is my first time doing this panel, but I really wanted to do this. My name is Natalie. You can call me Nat. I am part of the staff as the partnership and sponsorship coordinator. So I'm basically in charge of all of the free shit that you guys have been getting this weekend. Thank you. So, it's been like a lot of fun seeing how many people have been interested in Kei-con. And I am very excited to do this panel. We had a lot of very like fun and like positive stuff. And I also wanted to do one that was a little bit more educational, but also positive as well. But also like shed some light on just alternative minorities as a whole. So, welcome to Alternative Minorities, the darker side of J-fashion.
Yay. Sorry for the late reaction.
You guys are like, what? No shame. All right. So, just a general disclaimer and what to expect. So this is a safe space for everyone, and this is a discussion panel, not a debate. So don't argue with me, or you're gonna have to leave. And that's it. Like, I will just tell you to leave, and you don't want me to tell you to leave because you will leave all of Kei-con, not just there. So please don't argue. Don't invalidate people's experiences. We're not here to do that, and it will not be tolerated from all sides. So if you're a person of color and you dealt with something and you're not a person of color and you are like, oh well, I've never seen that, we don't want that here. You can leave. That's not going to be tolerated here, and I will just be like, no, that's not tolerated here, okay? And vice versa. There are no stupid questions at this panel. You can ask whatever. If you are a non-POC, just ask the question. I will give you an honest answer, okay? Don't feel like it's you're gonna come off as racist. Don't feel like you're gonna come off as a prejudice or discriminatory. Just ask the question bluntly, and I will give you a very blunt answer, okay? We just want to like have a just general discussion of like what can make us better humans at the end of the day, all right? So, what to expect? Expect some information about the multiple variables that exist in the world of AM folk, alternative minority folk, and we want to reinforce, refresh, and introduce new ways to support alternative minorities in the future. All right? Any questions so far? All right. So, what is an alternative minority? So, alternative is relating to a behavior that is considered unconventional and is often seen as a challenge to traditional norms. So, an alternative lifestyle. Everybody here is alternative. We can all admit that, correct? Yes. So minority is a relatively small group of people, especially one commonly discriminated against in a community, society, or nation, differing from others in race, religion, language, or political persuasion, meaning minority rights. So an alternative minority is basically someone who is in alternative fashion, but is the minority of it and is not well represented. So, what is the difference between majority versus minority? So, specifically in J-fashion. So in J-fashion, it's East Asian and white or European descent. The minority is Black, Indigenous, Latinx, South Asian, and sometimes, as the magic additional category, you are majority ethnically, but have a darker skin tone. So there are plenty of people who are from like Greece or Turkey, and they have like darker skin tones, but they are of European descent. So they would fall into the minority category and would be able to understand a lot of the issues that alternative minorities face. Also, this is just a general photo from one of the Christmas meetups that we had in Toronto. Try to count how many alternative minorities you see in this photo.
1, 2, maybe 3.
One hand, right?
Yeah.
And then you would probably use more than one hand for the others. So that's the best, this is the best way I can depict, like in a way, so you can see visually, oh, I can see who the minorities are in this one. So, how do alternative minorities differ from the majority? So I'm going to talk about 4 categories, but I'm actually clumping 2 of them together, so it'd be like 3. It'd be like hair, makeup, hair, culture, and religion. So I'm going to try to talk about a little bit of everything and try to go into detail. So you guys, if you guys have any questions in the middle, like feel free to raise your hand and ask. It's okay. So makeup. So as an alternative minority, there's always a lack of shades. And the shades tend to be of ashy tones. Like once they're on our skin, it tends to be like a very gray type of color, which is not very becoming for us. And it's makeup trends not working on our skin tones, and of course backlash from certain types of trends. So I put up my tongue twister, Shironuri, which if someone like me did it, I'd be accused of whiteface by people, which it's odd because if I was gonna do whiteface, it wouldn't be this white, but it's very odd. As well as colored contacts, being told that we hate our eye color. If we do like different eye shape makeup for cosplay or Lolita or anything, we're told we hate our features, and so on. So you find with makeup, there's a lot of companies that will produce very beautiful palettes, and nothing can like work on darker skin tones. Then you'll see some other like releases that'll come out, and some of like different like Sanrio collabs, or just like, because I remember the little Twin Stars palette coming out and being like nothing would work for me.
I have it, yeah.
I was like, nothing will work for me. I don't think, I was like, no, I can't buy this, like no. And then and this also translates into everyday media. So like if we're just talking just general pop culture, what's his name? Shane Dawson came out with a palette with like Jeffree Star, and even though problematic on its own, that palette was super, super ashy, and it was like not good for darker skin tones at all, but everyone was treating it like it was gold and buying it up. So like this translates in like everyday world as well as J-fashion, but it's better if these communities realize that there is actually a lot of buying power in making sure that there is more than just 1 or 2 shades, and it's actually accommodating for everyone. So one of the brands that I like is ColourPop, and I find that a lot of their tones like actually show up, and they make sure to swatch it on darker skin, so like people can see like, oh, this actually works. They make sure to use like models that vary from like fairer skin to even as deep as this photo back behind me. So it really helps. And ColourPop also does like a variety of collabs with like other, like I believe they did they do Care Bear? I'm not 100% sure.
They have a Sailor Moon for it.
Yeah, they have a Sailor Moon thing, so they do a lot of like Kawaii like S things. So with makeup, so like with makeup, it's best to just support the companies that can take care of everybody rather than just the ones that will just take care of you. Hair. Insert obligatory photos of me. You're gonna see lots of photos of me like throughout this whole thing because I didn't want to just steal people's like work, but like the other ones are like Google images that I got like directly from slides. So I'm like, oh, okay, this is good. But like anything I could throw myself in, I was like, yeah. So wigs over natural. So here's 2 photos of me, one in a wig and one natural. One is deemed more acceptable, one is not. It's seen as unprofessional, is seen as unkempt, is seen as like frizzy and gross. Like what? Like I think both look equally cute, and whichever I decide to wear, it should be fine, right?
Yeah.
Okay, exactly. People of color often get told that they should wear natural colors over pastels to better suit their skin tone. And it's like, no, we can wear whatever we want. We pay for it, it's ours. And it's just unfair to just gatekeep hair color. Yes.
So, I'm from the States, and right now we have something that they're passing to like help people not get fired for their hair called the Crown Act. And they've been passing that in like different states, so it's slowly but surely going in different places. Is that something that they also have here in Canada? Or
So in Canada, there is no law that they can't fire you for your hair. So they literally, they could. However, it could fall under wrongful termination and discrimination.
right?
So if they simply state that like your appearance is an issue, then you do have grounds to sue.
Okay.
So it's a little tricky, but a lot of employers try to avoid that here.
Okay.
Because they, like as soon as you point out like this isn't right, like they're kind of like whoa like
Cool.
any other questions?
I have a
Yes.
question. Is there a way to support natural hair and pastel wearing? Like this looks great on you or something?
Yeah, just tell me, oh, I like your hairstyle today. You look good. Like yeah, just something simple as that. Like, oh, you look so pretty. Like even if it's not directed at like, oh, your hair. Like even if you notice that someone doesn't wear their natural hair, you can even ask them, like if you're close enough, why don't you ever wear your natural hair? Like, aren't you hot in those wigs? Because I know I am. I have a lot of hair, and like wearing wigs, it's a process. Like just to get all of this under all of that. That's like, and like I make my own wigs, so like it's like wearing a helmet. So yeah.
But it,
Oh, sorry.
oh god.
Yeah, I was gonna say like this is mine. I did a few weeks ago with no wig at all, and I have a shaved head, so it was too hot for wigs.
Oh yes. You look stunning.
Thank you.
But it's like that, you have that natural volume, and it's like, that's why I wear a wig, otherwise my hair is so thin, I can't wear the headpieces, so I'm like, you already have it naturally, I don't understand why it's not accepted, because you wear the wigs to get that type of volume. So I'm like, I don't know, it's gorgeous, and I'm a little jealous of it, but I don't understand why it's not, like, I don't know, I come from the Michigan com, so it's like widely acceptable, so, but I don't know, I don't know why it's not acceptable.
So there is a lot of stigma and that like, you know, deep-seated racism that's like leads to all of that. Yeah, that leads to all of that, and it actually is true. So just quick history lesson. So like way back in the past, women would wear their natural hairs and actually style them in like various fashions and forms. So they would make like literal like art pieces with their hair. So it would be like boats or like trees and like stuff like that, and it would be like gorgeous. But there were a lot of people who were very jealous, specifically Karens of that time. They did not like it, so the women had to wear head coverings. And at that point, then head coverings became a big part of Black culture. Which brings us into our next part, culture and religion. So headscarves and hijabs are seen as unsuitable or hard to cord, which I've seen some very beautiful looks. There are like so many very like beautiful Lolitas who wear hijabs and headscarves, and from time to time I wear headwear, whether I just don't feel like doing my hair. I have cultural reasons from time to time as also where I wear a head wrap, but majority of the time, if I'm wearing one, I'm just like, my hair is not presentable enough to my standards. Let me just wrap it up real quick and just put something on. And then religious customs get criticized or seen as ruining the vibe. So there are people who don't drink or don't eat certain foods. And it's like, oh, well, then we can't take them to this place, or we can't go to like invite them to our like drinking events, or like they just ruin the vibe because then people feel like they can't, I don't know, let loose or whatever around them, when in reality, we just want to spend time with people. Like, I personally do not drink for health reasons, but I just like hanging out with people. So like, and even when I did drink, I didn't drink much anyway. So I was just like, I want to hang out with people. And like, I also was like that mother figure who would just like be there in case people drank too much. So, which Lolitas, give them the chance. We're all adults here, so we can do that. We definitely can do that. Can someone give me the time? 12:24? Great, we're doing good. So, cultural hairstyles are treated as exotic or as a distraction from J-fashion standards. So, going back to the last slide where you see me in a wig, that's the J-fashion standard. But the thing is that culturally, box braids, dreadlocks, natural afros, those are our cultural roots and our background, and this is our natural hair and like things that like give us life and meaning and have a rich history. So first of all, to be treated as if I'm like a freaking zoo animal and be called exotic, like no, please stop. And second, it is not a distraction. It is an add-on. It is just an add-on. It is just something like a compliment, like add it on to make it better. So, how J-fashion treats alternative minorities. Less social engagement in person and online. This is a fact. You cannot argue about it. You could have the same people post the same cord and just have the difference of skin tone, and you will get a different reaction online completely. Less business and sponsor opportunities. It is really hard for people of color to get business opportunities, just in general, and to get sponsors. So if you follow any YouTubers online, whether they are in J-fashion or not, they will tell you that they had to, like, when they were first starting out, they had to bang on doors and like beg companies to just give them a chance, just so that way they can say like, here, like I bought this, just so that way they can have like some type of product review. They were just begging just for like just so that way they could have like essentially scraps compared to what non-POC were able to get. They also get less runway, less model opportunities, runway, digital, and prints from J-fashion brands. So there's this thing that in the J-fashion community where brands will only, J-fashion brands specifically, will only have people of color depending on the country they go to. So if they come to the US and they come to Canada, they'll have people of color, or if they come to maybe like Europe, they might have people of color, but if they have the choice to, they will not. And it becomes super evident that they only do it to as like fan service rather than because they actually believe like we can model their clothes right. And you can tell that this issue is a big thing because just look back at like Japan prints and stuff like that. Like think of Bodyline. So Bodyline had done a revamp, and now they have a white girl who is like modeling a lot of their like Lolita stuff. So they clearly are able to use like foreigners for their stuff, but they don't want to upset their home base. So alternative minorities are held to a higher standard and watched under a microscope for mistakes. This is very, very true. I am a business owner, and I know that everything, and also, shameless plug, I own Tuesday K. I'm in the far back corner, right next to Hanuli. I make stuff. Come see me later. Yeah, so I own a business, and I know that my business is watched under a microscope, and if something goes wrong. So, a quick anecdote. During the Black Lives Matter insurrection, a lot of Black-owned businesses and creators were getting more feed and like noticeability, and somebody and a few of them dropped the ball, but someone specifically dropped the ball really hard, and it has definitely erred a lot of people since. And caused people to distrust Black J-fashion community. I know y'all know.
I have so much to say.
You said, all right, I'll get through the next slides quickly, I promise. And the thing is, once a mistake is made, then the AM community is set back, like, and has to almost like earn this trust back. And sometimes it's never given. And then, like, of course, just hate online just for existing in our skin. Like, I can post a cute like photo, and then people are like, ugly. And I'm like, what? Yes.
Yeah, I used to teach, so a couple of my students did find my social media, and they said, "You too old for this" and stuff like that, and like, "Ooh, why are you doing this?" I'm like, "Your mama." Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I can be brutal online.
Right? Okay. Sucky things that get said to alternative minorities in J-fashion. You look like a slave. That's a reaction I got. That's a reaction I got to country cord that I did when I went apple picking, because I didn't wanna freaking wear like any of my good stuff.
That was a thing on TikTok. I followed someone else on TikTok, and they said that it was a whole thing of it. They're saying that she did country court similar to that. They said she went out with her husband, and she was told that she looked like a slave by other black people, by the way.
It was black people too. Anyway, stop trying to be white or Asian. That really doesn't go with your skin tone. Are you a man or a woman? Like what? What is that? Like, you'll never find a husband or get a job dressed like that.
Who says I want one?
This hasn't all been said to me, but like definitely I've heard people get this said to them. And it's just like, it sucks. These are crass. You should not exist for saying things like that to people. Like, that's rude. And you deserve to step in dog shit for the rest of your life.
And say hello to my fisticuffs.
So, what can we all do to support alternative minorities? We can follow, share, and like their contents. A like is free. A follow is free. A comment is free. And honestly, you can literally follow someone and then just kind of like mute them if they post too much. It's super easy and it's all free, and it helps like promote them and get more social currency out of it. Shop and promote alternative minority businesses. Hi, I'm Nat from Tooth Decay. I'm an alternative minority and I have a business. Okay. Oh no! I thought I did it right. Yeah. All right. Hire alternative minority for J-fashion jobs. So if you're one of those people who has a business and has a storefront or has like situations, whether it's modeling or anything like of the sort, just hire alternative minorities. I'm not telling you that you only should hire alternative minorities. But if you see one that is good for the job, hire them. That's it. It doesn't have to be like, I'm only gonna cater to you versus you. No. It's like, but if both of you guys come into the room and you are a better fit, I'm going to choose you. And if it's a safe space too, defend alternative minorities from toxic people and situations. Don't just talk about it later and be like, oh, we should have done something, or don't put yourself in a situation where you feel like you regret it later. Because sometimes I could have been saved from a lot of awful situations by someone who did not look like me. And for some reason, people are nicer to people who don't look like me. So, it's the sucky truth, but just know that you guys, just even being here, is already helping a lot. Yes?
Hi. So for the last bullet, and I think where I struggle is finding an appropriate way to come to that person's defense without making it seem like I don't want them to think I'm stepping on them if they want to say something.
So you're essentially saying you're worried about white savior guilt.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that
You're worried about like them thinking you as a white savior.
Yeah,
Yes.
I want to make sure that I don't overstep boundaries, but I also want to make sure I'm doing what I can to protect them.
If the person who is being awful to them overstep boundaries. Because honestly, at least knowing that someone is there to defend them is good. Like, don't, like if they tell you guys, oh, okay, like you guys gotta go somewhere or like do something, don't just start throwing around, oh, you guys are being racist. Like, no, don't do that. Like, but if you straight up see and you know for a fact, like, because you can really tell when it's really bad, do something. It helps, even if it's just a little bit. So, what can I, as an alternative minority, do to help alternative minorities? So, I got 2 photos of me. One of them is I'm modeling for Spooky Sparkle Party. And the other one is I'm actually modeling for Vice magazine. And also the benefit was in both situations I was actually approached, so positive, because they all actually like understood we need alternative minorities in J-fashion, and then they both approached me. They each approached me and asked me to model for them. So the Vice magazine was actually a feature called Lolita's at Home. So I was living in one of the Remind me tomorrow.
Maybe tomorrow's problem.
Yeah, so it was Lolita's at Home. So the photographer came and just like came and like took photos of me at home, and I had like a freshly baked bread, and I was like, hey, like let me be like extra. It was just so cute. It was fun. So what can I, as an alternative minority, do to help other alternative minorities? Follow them online. Simple. Like, share, follow, free. Free 99. It's super easy. Produce content. I happen to know that our back row is filled with social media gurus who produce wonderful content online. Produce content, even if it's just posting photos on Instagram. The more we see it, the more we love it. Apply for everything. Everything. Post, like, apply for it. Even if you don't think you're gonna get chosen. You want a model? Apply for it. Like, you want a model for a brand? Apply for it. You see a cord contest? Apply for it. You see something? Apply for it. Because the more alternative minorities that apply for things and like join in, they will see that there is a market. It helps. It will push them forward. And sometimes, there's a lot of times where they will run out of models and you will be there. So like you would still be a backup. So one of the brands that I had consulted with was to make this panel was Moss Badger, and Jordana from Moss Badger, and she's amazing, first off, and she straight up said, if I can have an entire like all black cast for a runway, I'll take it. I love it. Let's do it. And I know other companies who are also who are not POC, and they also feel the same way. They want it to be a very ethnically diverse, like, modeling cast. But the issue is that alternative minority models are not applying. And so this is why I'm saying apply for everything. It doesn't matter if and this is also for the non-POC folk. If you are the change, be the change that you want to see. So if you feel like there is something missing in like runway looks or anything, just apply. Just apply. And just because if we could have just like an ethnically diverse, or just like have different people of like random different genders and everything, like it would just be so much more beautiful and fun that way. All right, so questions and comments. Feel free to ask anything. This is a safe space, I promise.
What's the worst experience you experienced?
Let's ask Marina at the back first.
So I just wanted to like further emphasize the last point, like apply to everything. So recently, so like in May, if you know in the States, I'm from the States, so this is probably in context. Do y'all know like the Bridgerton series?
Yeah.
The Queen's Ball that was happening in some cities?
Mm-hmm.
So I actually applied as like press there. Whenever I go to events, I like apply as press. And I was like, oh, maybe they just want like a lot of followers, and you know, maybe they might pick me. But they actually like did, and I went to like the Bridgerton Ball and like covered it, and it was like such a fun experience, and like seeing like so many like other like brown and like POC, like you know, like actors and stuff. So it's like, do it. Like even if you don't think, you don't have to have like a ton of followers or whatever. Like if you don't, just do it. Because it's like I never thought like they were like having like, oh, let me, you know, ask press. And it was like so much fun. So I just wanted to like further emphasize that point.
Okay, so back to that question. I started with thinking about what's the worst thing I've experienced? I've experienced a lot. I've been in this fashion for a pretty long time. I'll give you something fairly recent. This was last year's Kei-con. I was actually the Tea Party coordinator for last year's K-Con, and the staff there were super rude to me and did not treat me right. They were messing up stuff, like a lot, at the tea party, and when we were talking to them, Ray was talking to them very, like normal. I was also talking to them very normal. If you talk to me on a regular basis, I don't normally talk in panel voice, like very, very forceful. I'm actually quite nice and like and approachable. So I was talking to them, and so Ray was talking to them, and then once I said something to kind of reinforce what Ray said, the woman took a step back from me with her hands up. So when someone does that, that's as if they feel threatened, and that definitely was something that just did not sit well with me at all. And it was really gross, and I was like, ugh, we're not dealing with that right now. Like, so at that point, I was like, nope, mental shutdown, and like, I was like, I just was on autopilot the rest of the day, and like I explained to Ray like everything that happened. She vehemently apologized. She told me like, ideally I was supposed to be the Tea Party coordinator this year again, but because I live in Ottawa, I was like, and the person who is the Tea Party coordinator also works at the hotel, so I thought it would make better sense. So I was like, what else do you want me to do, as well as, cause like I was doing Tea Party as well as sponsorships last year. So it was like, I could just do sponsorships, and since I have a whole year, I can go ham, and I did. And I'm happy about it. So now I'm the sponsorship person, but I'm happy where I am. And I'm glad I just don't have to deal with rude staff.
And you said staff.
Yes, Jerica.
What?
Oh,
No, go ahead.
I was gonna ask, like, you said the staff, like, not the K kind of staff, right?
no, it was not the K-Con staff. This was the hotel staff.
Okay, yeah, that staff. Okay, wow.
Yes,
I was just
Jerica.
gonna say, like, as a fellow event coordinator, like, I can hardcore relate to, like, getting a lot harsher judgment for things that happen because you're a Black person. Because, like, for me, I host events not only at cons, but, like, for my individual community. And, like, I'll never forget one year at a con, like, the comments left behind was like, oh, her event was so ghetto. And, like, that's an immediate racist dog whistle. And the things that, like, because we, when you host an event and you have to work with catering, like, something to keep in mind is, like, the person working with the hotel or the event space, like, we only have so much control over what catering does or what they show up with or whatever. Like, we can put in an order, but if the chef gets COVID and can't come in, then the hotel has to do all these different things. So there's a lot of moving parts. And so,
I just wanna say catering is a lot more expensive than people think it is.
yeah, that too.
People normally expect like a tea party ticket to be like $30, but that's like barely like the lowest tier, like a competent, like to have an actual competent tea party with like good food and tea is like easily like $80 a person. But
in
no one
that
wants to pay
instance
that.
too, I've been accused of stealing funds because people are just like, well, there's no way that this costs as much as it does. So clearly she's taking money. And it's like, in my head, it's like, okay, there are so many other event planners and event coordinators and none of these things are said about them. But then you come to my event and you're like, oh, it's ghetto.
Yep. So I have actually a background in hospitality tourism with a specialty of event management and planning. My technical specialty is actually large events and weddings. So I know how to plan stuff, and I still like get people questioning. But however, my com is so lovely. They have never questioned me once. Maybe they should know. Yes, Christina.
That's terrible that that happened to you. And you can to accuse you of stealing when it's like, even if the cost of the ticket is more than what it costs from the venue.
Yeah.
As if you don't deserve to make money for all this work.
You know
that
what?
you've done.
Somebody told me that too. They were like, no, like, because if they hired an event planner, like, they would be paying them, right? Yeah.
You should be charging more because
Yeah.
you're doing hours and hours of labor.
Exactly. Yeah. I really think a lot of it is just like, some of it I feel like is just deep-seated racism, and then I feel like another part of it too is like, I feel like a lot of people in their head, they're like, oh, well, I can do this thing, and they've never done it before, so they don't have the experience of doing it, they don't know what it takes. So that's part of it, but then the other part is just like mentioned in the slides, like I genuinely feel like a lot of, especially people of color in more leadership positions or event planning positions, like we get this super harsh judgment, and it's like, if I was Becky from down the block, I wouldn't be saying that. Like, this is crazy, you know? And so it's just, so I totally relate, and like, it just sucks. I do feel like it's getting better. Like, I feel like people are recognizing their own biases and getting a lot better at it, but it's still the fact that that even has to happen, you know?
So I'll do one more anecdote before we end off. So like as you guys may know, I'm a business owner. Like, I happen to be a business owner. My shop's called Tooth Decay Accessories. It's in the back, right by next to Newly. I keep saying that over and over, but yeah. So shoot, I lost my train of thought.
An anecdote. It happens.
Another anecdote.
I know it's another anecdote. Yes, so as a business owner, for some reason, a lot in my company, because I am not like very forward with my face, people often think my assistant runs my company. And they will come to my booth and they will only speak to her and only hand the cash to her and only or they will assume that, you know, we are both partners, but they will almost like say as if I am beneath her. And that is the thing that happens all the time, like a lot. If you don't believe me, come work for me for one con weekend. I would love to exploit your labor. And you'll see it. And you will definitely see it where people will just be like, oh, like, who makes this stuff? Or, oh, you make such nice stuff. And they'll only like talk to her, and she's like, I can't do any of this. She's like, it's all her. Like, and then like literally just see like the smile on their face just like fade. And as if it's like, what? Like what's the problem? Like, it's still pretty. You thought it was pretty when she made it. Why is it not pretty when I make it? And then it's also, I will get, if I'm by myself, I will often get told, oh, like, I can make your stuff based on, like, I could just buy all the stuff from China and make it. I say, then do it.
Yeah, I've seen
Like-
your stuff, that's not true. Get to the booth and back
I believe most of the people here have seen my stuff at some point, and and they're just like, oh, like, yeah, I can just go, you know, get your stuff from China, or I can just make it or myself or other stuff. And it's like, yes, my cheaper items are made with kabochans that are from China. However, there is a process that goes into them that does not turns them into an actual accessory. So there are processes that are done. And then there is stuff that I make from scratch. I pour the resin from scratch. And I am, like, it's a lot of work, okay? Like, this is my full-time job. And, like, I almost went off on someone because they said that at a con. And I was just like, leave. I was like, okay, bye. And then I was just like super rude and salty, and my assistant was like, I've never seen you that mad before. Like, she's like, is everything okay? And I was like, no, you know what it was. And she's like, yeah, this is an awful human. So, anecdote over. Let's be better people, guys. Any more questions? Yes.
How was your experience shooting with Vice Magazine? It seemed like it was fun.
It was super amazing. Haley is an amazing photographer. She made sure I was completely comfortable the entire time. The only thing was, like, there was a snowstorm the day I was supposed to do it. So we were supposed to go outside to, like, do the shoot, but it was like, nope. So then I was like, well, oh, I got a fresh loaf of bread I made. Like, you don't want me to do like something like homemakery in the kitchen or something? She's like, okay. And it worked out great. They're super nice. And like, they did actually do a feature on Lolita's, on the Toronto community. So like, you could just look up like Vice and Lolita fashion, and you'll see the like the Lolita community, and then they went to an event, one of our like larger events for that. Any more questions? Yes.
This is a really weird question to ask.
Nope, say it.
But like, how do you deal with like bias and like in online spaces, like on Facebook or in communities? Because sometimes I go to a meetup and it's just, I'm sorry to say, but it's all white people, and it makes me very uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you approach event organizers and ask them to make sure that minorities are included?
So it really is kind of hard to say like make sure minorities are included, because if your comm is only filled with white people, then you're gonna only get white people. So like, I'm from the Ottawa comm, and we only have 3 Black Lolitas, and one of them is like very, very occasionally hardly ever comes to meets, and the other one is pretty active with me as well. So it's literally just the 2 of us in a sea of like white people and like 2 Asians. Like, so it's
a really uncomfortable experience.
It's uncomfortable, but not to, for me personally, it's not to the extent, because I'm also the mod, so everyone's super nice to me, because they didn't want me to wave that band hammer. But yes, I was in the Toronto community at one point, and it was definitely just like a sea. And so one of the things I used to do was I always offered to take people's cord shots, and that's how I made friends. And I was like, do you want me to take your picture? And I was running around with this like camera that was like super sauce, but it like took great pictures, and it sounded like a Tamagotchi every time I clicked it. And I was just like, do you want me to take a cord shot? Do you want me to take a cord shot? And like, everyone was like, yeah, what's your Insta? And we went back and forth, and that's how I made friends. So, and if you ever see like, also, if you want to like add more people, make a meetup. Like, make a meetup, and if they see that you're the one hosting it, then maybe then more people will want to come, because they see that like a minority is doing so. Any more questions? It's a safe space. Yes.
I'm an artist, and I like drawing a lot of characters and people in Lolita. However, I don't see a lot of Black artists or Black Lolitas in artwork. Do you know any, or do you recommend people start drawing more from people that are Black Lolitas in chords, or alternative minorities in chords? What direction do you really generally go for people who like to draw Lolita?
I think like you should actually just expand, like just try the whole rainbow. Like, like there's all colors of the rainbow, so like do all colors in your art. Like just if you are able to draw Black people, great. If you need more time to do that, that's also great too. But don't forsake them completely and just be like, I don't draw Black people ever. Like that's just rude. We try to avoid that. And there are plenty of like Black artists online that you can follow. There's literally, I can't think of her off the top of my head, but there's an artist, she created a brush set to do natural hair very easily. And yeah. and like, yeah, I literally am gonna get that for my artist, because I'm supposed to be expanding more into like t-shirts and stuff, so, and creating stuff, so yeah. Like, you can go like on Instagram and look at all these Black artists, and like honestly, once you dig up like 2 or 3, like the meta universe will start bombarding you with posts. So it works out pretty good. Any more questions?
I just want to add on to that. I did see a few artists Actually, if you go to the remote vendor, you'll see a section with Kei-con, and she has like 3 different versions of Black Lolitas.
Also, Crayola Crayola.
Plus the question mark comment, it's 12:56 if you need it.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much for participating. This panel has been brought to you by Tooth Decay Accessories. Hi, I'm Nat. I am Tooth Decay Accessories. Tooth Decay is me.